Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 5th of September. Starting with the FTSE 100, which is nestled just above the 50-day line, 82.30. That was a potential support point. Below that, we've got the nightmare scenario of having to test the floor of that rising trend channel from this time last year, around 80.30, 80.40, but hopefully we can get away with it. In the meantime, an end-of-day close, obviously below 82.30 in the 50-day line would be the potential trigger for a move to the downside. We've got the RSI just below neutral 50, so today's sort of the day, the pivotal day really for this market. If we can rise, then it would be back to the breakdown point around 83.40, which was that broken up trend line from last month. Obviously, we've got the top of the range there, 84.20 at the moment. Moving on to the DAX, and here the gap down, quite impressive really, I suppose. What's interesting here is obviously we gap down at the beginning of last month, we gapped down at the beginning of this month too. The support there at the moment around the 18,600 level, so it's too close to call in terms of which way this market will go on that basis, but the RSI is still above neutral 50 at 54, just under 55, so technical glass here half full, and at least while we're above the latest intraday support, 18,500, hoping for at least a gap fill towards 18,700 on that market. The Dow is next, and here you can see we're finding support at that old resistance line there. That's currently around 40,800. Above that, we're hoping for a retest of the best levels towards 41,500. Best case is up to 42,700 in the top of that rising trend channel from last September by the end of this month, although I suppose at the moment that feels a little bit optimistic. On the downside, ideally, there's no price action back below either the top of that gap, 40,200, or the 50-day line just below it. RSI at 55, so again, like the DAX, it's half full rather than half empty on that basis. Moving on to Bitcoin, which remains soggy, to say the least, keeps failing below the 60,000 level, so that's becoming the ceiling there. That resistance line, the support line now become resistance there at 59,500. Below that, we've got the risk of 51,800 and that February support line projection. RSI has failed 2 or 3 times now below neutral 50, so that does make it more likely that we will hit that support line projection in the low 50,000s. On to gold, and here picture is one of relief, I suppose. We didn't bounce off 25.20, which we were hoping for, but we bounced above the 24.80 that we'd maybe factored in on this market. Worst case is we've got to test the floor of that channel, 24.55 in the 50-day line, but it looks as though gold split the difference between the 24.80 and 25.20 and bounced from there. Clearly, we still have the chance of hitting the top of that rising trend channel, 26.50. by the end of this month. RSI is still above a neutral 50 at 55, so that is helpful. Just wanted to look at pound dollar because I didn't feel I did it justice the last time I looked at it. Here we've found support above old resistance, so the old resistance there 130.50 and new support there 130.70. That is quite a positive thing, especially given the way that, well, depending on the UK interest rate outlook, I suppose it looks more bullish. Or at least more likely that the US will cut more aggressively than over here. Top of the channel there from March up to $1.34, which I suppose we'd look for by the end of this month as the quickest time frame on that. Moving on to the stocks, and starting with ASOS, which has gapped up through all its recent resistance, through 390 especially. The initial target there was that December resistance line projection, £4.20. Above that, got the possibility of a new leg to the upside, as high as £4.62 by the end of this month. But the key here now is staying above 420, so that's hopefully helping some people who are in the stock. On to Capex, which had a great June, July. It's drifted since then, and maybe the drifting is still going to continue. We have gapped up today, so that was a potential positive, but we got a block there at the 50-day line, 0.3 pence. We need to get an end-of-day close or a weekly close above that to get us back up to retesting July resistance. And the other trigger that we're waiting for would be for the RSI to get above neutral 50. It's only 43 at the moment. We haven't been above that RSI 50 level for the best part of a month. Stock which we covered quite a lot when it was in the 60s, 70s, something like that. But Funding Circle, fantastic performance here within that rising trend channel from January. Top of the channel there, as high as £1.40. and we're looking for that while we are above recent resistance and the recent July resistance around £1.16. So looks like there's still a way to go there, especially after the gap through the rising 50-day line. It's actually a bear trap island reversal, so gapping down there back in August and then gapping up now, so that makes that setup look even more obviously bullish. On to Ilika, which has gapped up towards its 50-day line and the top of that falling wedge there at 25 pence. Above 25 pence, looking for the top of the triangle there, the broadening one there from March at 32 pence, and hoping for that by the end of this month. Ideally, obviously, we don't fill that gap down to 24, or we don't close below that. On to Kodal, which has revived itself after an update. A rising trend channel here. I suppose you could argue that the channel is more like that, but either way, we bounced off the floor of the channel or above the floor of the channel, looking for an end-of-day close there above the 50-day line at 0.53, and hoping for 0.7 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of this month, if we can get a repeat of the May-type rally in the shares. But the key here, I think, staying on the right side at 0.48 in the meantime. On to a stock which has done us proud over the recent past, Roadside Real Estate. A nice little V-shaped bull flag forming again. We were looking for 24 pence, and basically the message now is that above 20 pence we could go up to a steeper red resistance line projection as high as 31 pence by the end of next month, but the key here holding above the 20 pence level. But a great pattern in the sense that we've largely seen old new support come in at or above previous resistance, which you only see in the strongest of situations. On to Shuka, which is also doing us proud, slowly and steadily. Here we were hoping for an end-of-day close above 6 pence to take us up to fill the gap up to the 8 pence level, which looks like it's quite doable. Best case up towards 10 pence by the end of this month, which is the top of that falling trend channel from the basically this time last year. Stock which I hardly ever look at and nobody else looks at all is Safestay, but here we've got a rising trend channel. The shares gapping up today above the 200-day moving average on the 50-day line, looking for 32 pence by the end of this month, while we remain above the recent resistance area around 22 pence. Ideally, there's no end-of-day close back below the gap floor at 23.5. Sovereign Metal seems to be responding to its recent flow of news, gapping up today, which is always a good thing, off the floor of that rising trend channel from December. Top of the channel there up to 43, 44 pence, and we're looking for that by the end of this month, or hopefully much sooner than that, especially given the way that we've gapped up today and that 50-day line is rising along with the 200-day moving average. On to Woodbois, and here edging up as well with the seller out, allegedly, etc. Here we've got new support coming in above old resistance around 0.42, and above that we're looking for as high as 0.72. I suppose fundraisers and other things permitting, but that is looking like a better situation than it has done in a long time, and the rising 50-day line and all the blue candles of late also helping the cause. Finishing off with Celadon, which I actually forgot earlier on, as you can tell by the fact that it's a company beginning with C. Here we were looking for a break higher after an end-of-day close through the mid-August resistance at 37 pence. That's come to pass, and we're hoping for a fill of that gap up to 52 pence well before the end of this month. And again, that's an interesting battle between the technicals and the fundamentals. The technicals there looking rather more bullish than the latest update. So presumably some money is coming in to the company, or somebody believes it will. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.